Welcome to the Network Build Grow podcast, the show where business owners, entrepreneurs, and professionals share their stories, lessons learned, and powerful strategies for building relationships and growing their circle of influence. With Melissa Taylor, your host, each week we'll bring you actionable insights to help you build a better network and a better business. Let's dive in.
We are back, and I am so excited about this talk because I get to talk to Cara Truitt, a dear friend who has just quickly become into my circle of influence. We met and it was just like boom, 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 and we just really started doing things together. It's always fun when that happens in a community. So welcome, Cara.
Thank you so much for having me, Melissa. I love spending time with you, and I'm really excited.
Yeah. So before we get to talking about networking and relationship building and all the things, tell our audience a little bit about what you do and what you bring to the table every time. Because I know you step on stages, you do corporate workshops, but tell me kind of what that is all about.
Yeah. I am really on a mission to help end this disconnection epidemic that we're living in. You know, every opportunity that we have when we come together in networking, on stages, in team meetings, no matter where we are, there's opportunity for deeper connection. And that's really what I'm about. I'm about creating spaces and stages where people can come as they are and leave as more of who they are, where they can feel that felt sense of belonging and also have a space where they feel really comfortable to grow. And I think connection is the biggest piece in all of the work that I do. It's about how can we come together and have these moments and opportunities for connection be really intentional.
Yeah. And you train on that, but you also you exude it. Like every time I see you in a room or on a stage, you just are bringing people together and saying like, put your phones down, be present, be here. And it's just something that just you embody it.
Well, thank you. That means a lot because I'll tell you, it's one of the lessons that I've had the hardest time learning. Sometimes the things that we go through that we have to really be intentional about to create in our lives is the thing that we end up speaking about or helping others with. Because I'm neurodivergent, my brain is running 1,000,000 miles a minute. So to me, presence and intentional connection is really a strategy, and it's something that I have to work at every single day. And the reason why is because anything that we want to build, whether it's we're building our business, we're creating community, we are trying to have influence with our teams, what matters is that people feel seen. They don't really care as much what you say. Again, it's how you make them feel. We know this to be true, but how do we do that in a really practical sense? And that's where I've really kind of built some strategies around what do I do before I walk in the room? What do I do when I get in the room? What am I doing while I'm in conversation that I can actually take these small steps and action in a really repeatable way that allows me to create that intention and create that presence wherever I go so that I can be remembered. I can help other people feel remembered as well. And that's really what I'm all about. So I appreciate when someone says they feel that because that's really, it's really very intentional. And it's something that I have to work at because I'm a mom. I've got businesses. My brain is running in 1,000,000 directions. So I have to make it a choice.
Yeah. Yeah, you do make it a choice. And I love that you've bottled it, so to speak. And now you can take that and you can teach it to other people because you've created a methodology around it. You've made it tangible so people can understand, number one, be self-aware. And then number two, apply your principles, which is great. So you are a mom.
Yes.
So let's just visit that for a minute because I personally have met you in parking lots at night with kids in the car, handing things back and forth. That's just your life right now.
Yes, I was just this morning at Creative Mornings here in Charlotte with my daughter. They get to come along for some of the journey, you know, at appropriate times. I always say your children can be your reason why or your reason why not. I have a lot of people that have, you know, well-meaningly said, why don't you just wait till they get a little older? You know, you're traveling, you're going on stages. But, you know, I also feel like it's important to be able for them to see me chasing my own dreams and see me, you know, getting on these stages and podcasts and things where they're like, oh, mom's actually doing something that was really meaningful to her. And I'll tell you, we got a couple of little TEDx speakers coming up behind me because the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I've got a couple entrepreneurs. My son's already like trying to start businesses and he's 7. So, I think that's really important. And I grew up that way. My mom and my dad, they had businesses. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. So, I think it does matter for them to see. And, it's not easy. It's really tough to have little ones. I will say that nothing taught me presence like parenting. So I had previously been in the yoga community. I was teaching meditation. I was doing all these things, but it wasn't until I had toddlers that I learned the power of intentional connection.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I actually, interestingly enough, you spoke about your son because I recently saw you on a stage and you weren't the headliner, but you were definitely a part of the major production. And you talked about your son and something that he said to you about a rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the ultraviolet. Can you just share that quick story with us?
I would love to. So we were, this was with TEDx Sugar Creek Women. I was hosting the event, and the theme that we had chosen for the event was perspective. And so I shared this little story and to help us kind of see the power of perspective. And this was when we were riding in the car a couple weeks ago, and I was just trying to keep them off of screens, just talking to them, singing songs. And we started singing the colors of the rainbow. And so I went through all the colors of the rainbow and I got to violet, the last color. And that was the end of the song. And my son said, "Wait, Mom, don't forget about ultraviolet. You can't see it, but it's there.
It's there.
It's there." And I was like, wow, you know what? You're right. And that was such a powerful reminder from a child to me to remember, hey, even when you think you have the full picture, there's always another layer that you may not be able to see. And that's really kind of the power of having a perspective that, I don't maybe know all the answers. I can't see the full picture, especially when it comes to connection and communications.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say, black and white thinking can be really dangerous. And so now I used to think about, maybe think about the gray in between, but I'm like, no, it's not even the gray. It's actually the ultraviolet. It's the layer that you cannot see because ultraviolet is invisible to the human eye, but it is there and it's very powerful too. So that's the story that you heard me tell. And I've really kind of thought about it so many times since then as just sort of, how can we have this sort of ultraviolet thinking mindset?
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful thing. So tell us a little bit before we jump into networking, tell us a little bit about your business because you do a lot. You do some coaching, you produce a TEDx show, but your bread and butter is really your corporate trainings and your keynoting. So tell us a little bit about what your topics are.
Yeah, so I have a keynote that I talk about, again, the power of connection and how we can make an intentional connection within our businesses and really how can we build influence in a distracted world. So I talked a little bit earlier about the power of presence and overcoming distraction. So I have a keynote that I do as well as workshops that help people build presentations that really connect with people. So instead of speaking to impress, how can we speak to connect? And how can we build these intentional connection pieces all the way in from the time that we begin building the presentation? And then how can we do that through the delivery as well? So both workshops, and we have 2-hour, half day, full day. These go to all over the country on site. They go to, corporate conferences for breakouts. And then, of course, keynotes when those are appropriate. So I love being out in the community. And the reason why I'm focusing on corporate, I'll tell you, is because I think it's the place that gets overlooked the most when it comes to connection.
Yeah, it
we
does.
spend most of our time at work. So we often compartmentalize connection for other places, but we're missing the opportunity to say, how can I build connection into my daily life, even at work? And I always say I love when I work with a group, they go from being coworkers to community in one day. And that's really the rewarding part of doing those corporate workshops as sort of my bread and butter.
Yeah, I love that. Coworkers to community. That's incredible.
Yes.
That's incredible. So networking obviously is a big part of what you do, not only to get business for yourself, but also really showing people how to even use that. So tell me, how has networking played an integral part in building your business? I've
been networking in Charlotte for probably 25 years now, and it's it's everything. I think everything that I've built has been in relationship building. And I've switched industries multiple times. I've continued to stay in contact with some of the same people from those industries. And, it's just my favorite part of what I do is getting to go out and build relationships. And I can look back and see, from 20 something Cara to 40 something Cara, the way that I network differently now. And it's so easy for when we begin our networking journey to feel a sense of desperation, like we have to connect with as many people as possible to have an impact. And I think now when I look at it, I approach it really very opposite from that. I approach it from a very intentional standpoint. And so my goal when I walk into a room is not to get every business card in the room. It's to make a few really good, meaningful connections. And I always say the people that you need to move your business forward are already in your network. It's usually that one person that we already know that we haven't taken the time to build more intentional relationship with. That's probably the person we need to move us forward.
Yeah. Yeah. You're absolutely right. 100% right. So tell us one of the ways that you encourage people to build that second layer of connection.
Mm-hmm. So I have a framework that I call Choose the One. And one of the ways that I use this in a networking standpoint is when you walk into a room, instead of trying to talk to everyone, choose the one person that you feel drawn to and just have a conversation with them that's really intentional. While you're talking to them, have an intention. What's the one thing I can help them with? And then when you're done with that conversation, choose the one thing that you can do to intentionally grow that relationship. So that may be introducing them to someone else, but really having a focus that's on them. As you always say, Melissa, how can I help? And that's the number one thing I would say to do if you're looking into networking more, is just focus on find the people that you feel drawn to. And I say it specifically that way because sometimes the people that are going to be our best connectors are not people that are even in our same industry or that are someone we would likely collaborate with. But if you feel drawn to someone and if you notice, if you pay attention, you set an intention, I'm going to walk in and see who I feel drawn to, you'll notice it. And then that's probably going to be the person that's going to lead you either to an introduction or a friendship or something.
Mm-hmm. And then, like you said, that can lead to this and this can lead to that. And then that's where you end up getting the
magic
traction
of
that you need.
As I call it, net weaving, because you're not networking, you're net weaving really like the fabric of your business. And my favorite thing about networking is that the people that I have networked with over the years have really become my community. Again, it's all about community for me. And I could write a book about just the amazing connections that have come completely unexpected. And I always love asking people a question that's different from what do you do when you meet people. When you start asking people other questions like, what are you excited about? What brings you here? You start learning all kinds of things, and then you find those magical connections that you might know. And the best thing you can do for someone when you meet them is not to give them what you necessarily have to offer, but find out how you can help them, and then actually go back to your network, find one introduction that you can make for them, and choose that one person to introduce them to.
Yeah, it is. That's really what it is. I mean, it's about connecting people to people. Connecting people to resources, like you said, building a community around you and helping. And in turn, that helps them build a community around themselves. And so that's where, and then the communities have these like a Venn diagram where all like overlapping our communities. And that's really where the magic happens. If you network for your business, you already know follow-up is everything when it comes to growing relationships and driving success. But here's the thing. Most of us want to follow up well. We just get stuck. Staying consistent, keeping it personal, making it stand out, it's hard. That's why I use NetEffect.io. It makes follow-up simple, cuts through all the noise, and helps me stay on top of every relationship without dropping the ball. I never miss a follow-up, and honestly, my network wouldn't be the same without it. So check it out, NetEffect.io. And right now, you can use promo code NBG50 for 50% off of your first month. neteffect.io, your secret weapon to unforgettable follow-up. Tell us a little bit about the legacy that you're trying to leave for your kids and the mark kind of that you're making.
That's a big question, Melissa.
I know it's a big question.
I really feel right now very strongly that my legacy has to do with them understanding that their voice matters and that others' voices matter. And just giving them the tools to empower them to use their voices and also to listen deeply to other people, and just knowing that they can have an impact and that they do matter. And, kindness is a big piece. I was very proud of my daughter yesterday. We were walking into kindergarten registration to sign her up. And as she's walking in the door, she takes the door handle and she says to herself out loud, okay, all I have to do is be kind and be brave. And she opened the door and I was like, it was one of those parenting moments where you're like, okay, I feel like a hot mess most of the time, but I must be doing something right.
Yeah. That's so cute. It's when you wish you had your camera on to get a film of that, but you'll never forget it. You'll never forget it. And kids say the darndest things, don't they?
They do.
Just out of the blue.
My children teach me every single day.
Yeah. So you have a 7-year-old and you have a child going into kindergarten.
Yes. 4 years old and 7 years old.
So you are in the throes of motherhood.
Yes.
Yes, you are. And building a business.
I am. It's really nonstop. And, I have to practice what I preach and take those moments of presence and just, sometimes that means I have to reschedule an appointment. Sometimes that means, I have to just let something fall, but it's finding those moments and realizing that even if it's just a micro moment in the middle of the day where we stop and make eye contact and have that presence, that's what they remember. And they remember that mommy, time that they had, even if it's just so brief. It's really powerful. And we can take that lesson into our conversations with other people too. So many times I feel like, oh, we don't have time for connection. We're too busy. I can't get into like deep connection with you right now because I'm busy. And connection really isn't even about the amount of time that you're spending. It's about how present you are in that micro moment. And does the other person feel seen? And if you can make somebody feel seen, there's going to be a more meaningful connection. And that goes all the way from, when I'm picking up my kids at the bus to when I'm going into a meeting, and then when I'm coming back home talking to my husband. Presence is, I think, the most powerful thing that people think is something that you either just have or you don't, or it's like, oh, I need to be more present, like it's a feeling, but it's actually a choice. You just have to choose presence in those moments and not beat yourself up for all the times that you're not, because you're not. Distraction is our default. We're not going to be present all the time, but in every single moment that we can choose that and choose that one person to give our full attention to, it's really, really a gift.
It's a powerful gift. It's a very powerful gift that you're giving to somebody else and yourself at the same time. It's like the gift that keeps giving.
Yes, it is.
All right, let's do some rapid fire networking questions.
Okay.
So yes, you stole one of them. One of them was, what do you say besides, so what do you do? And you gave us some really good examples.
Yeah, what are you excited about?
Yeah.
My favorite.
I know, me too. So I'm going to just first thing that comes to mind. Ready?
Okay.
All right. What's one common mistake that people make when they go to an actual networking event?
Trying to get all the business cards.
Yeah.
or just like walking up to someone and passing them a business card. Like that's why we're here.
Yeah. Having a transactional
I want
mindset.
like a handshake, not a business card.
Yeah. Having that transactional mindset is really a no-no. Right. Big time no-no. Okay. Here's another one. This one's perfect for you. How do you turn a casual conversation into a meaningful relationship?
Presence and intention. And I think the main thing with that is have an intention for the person that you're speaking to. So maybe it's something you learned about them. Maybe it's just thinking about something they told you earlier, or maybe it's just that you like what they're wearing and you want to make them feel good about themselves. have an intention. So while you're talking to someone, something's going to pop into your mind about that person. Can you take that and turn it into an intention to either ask them a deeper question, learn more about them, give them a compliment, whatever that is, and then listen really deeply. We have to practice really the art of listening.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So then what's the next step? Like, how do you then take that and turn it, say it is maybe a good prospect or something like that? How do you turn that into like more of a prospective kind of a conversation?
I think whenever you ask someone, how can I help? They naturally want to ask you that back whenever you're done. So if you're interested in them and you're asking them, how can I help you? Usually they will reciprocate. 9 times out of 10, they're going to ask, and tell me about how I can help you. And that allows like a more natural, I would say, opening for that. And also, once you have kind of provided some value for them, given them a referral or even just in conversation, give them an idea that you might have. Mm-hmm. I'm always thinking about how can I help people collaborate and come up with ideas for collaboration. So I might say, have you ever thought of trying this? And you're really good with that, Melissa, too. You've given me so many great ideas. I think people appreciate ideas as much as they appreciate connections. Oh yeah. So yeah, I guess I don't know if that answered the question, and I'm really bad with rapid fire. This is becoming a problem. But.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Okay. Last question. How do you keep track of all the people that you meet? How do you keep track of your tribe, your community, and make sure that you're reaching out to them, giving them connections, like staying in touch?
This is something that I need to come actually take classes from you on, because I'm not great at keeping track, but there is a tool that I really like. So I will share this to be helpful. I love using Hi Hello. It's a starting point. And you can take the names from there and put in other places. But the reason I like it is because whenever someone scans my little Hi Hello, and I don't get paid from them, just so you know, and I'm sure there are other tools that do the same thing. When they scan the QR code, it puts the date that I met them. And that helps me a lot, because often I'll say, who did I meet at that one event? And I will open up the app and I can see the date on my calendar matches the date that I met them. And that helps me kind of remember. From there, I use a couple of other tools like Honeybook and Flowdesk, and just I'm still streamlining my systems, to be honest, but I do at least try to make sure that I put them into my app instead of just grabbing their card, and because then it doesn't end up in the right spot for me on the dates.
Yeah, it ends up on a pile on the desk. Yeah, which is not helpful. Well, thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us, and we are really excited for everything that's going on in your life.
Thank you so much, and let me know how I can help. I'm always just in awe of you and the Network Build Grow community and the Speaker League community, and I'm just so lucky to be here, and I can't wait to engage with more people here in Charlotte.
Great. Well, we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Network Build Grow podcast. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a fellow entrepreneur or professional. And of course, if you're not yet part of our community, visit networkbuildgrow.com to connect with us. Until next time, keep building and keep growing.